Hey guys, it's Jessica. Welcome back for part 2 of our surrogacy story. I am so excited for this second half to share with you guys. If you missed part 1, I'm gonna put a link to it just above up here. So you may wanna catch up on that first, or you might be a little bit behind. But part 2 of our surrogacy story is quite the emotional roller coaster. So grab your box of tissues. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button because there is a lot more to this story. Where we left off last time, I was just about to let you guys know whether or not we had a positive pregnancy test from our surrogate. Okay, so we put this one little embryo in, this one little soldier in. Finally, it's the big day, and it's kind of cool. They give you a picture. I'm gonna show all this stuff. I'll have it on there, like, yeah.
So stupid.
They actually give you the stylet that the baby's in, that the embryo's in. You see a picture of what it looks like when it goes in. It's all really cool. It's really fascinating. And then after the transfer, you wait. God, that's a long couple weeks. I mean, it just feels like, and you know, Kaylee and I were talking like daily, you know, and poor thing, she wanted it so badly for us, and she'd be like, I think I'm feeling a little different. But she'd be like, but I never really had any pregnancy symptoms with my pregnancies, you know? So they encourage you to wait until they do the blood draw. Well, Kaylee and I had another plan.
Yeah, exactly.
She asked, do you want me to go take a pee test? Like, she asked me, and I was like, I wanted to know so bad. I didn't want to wait for the blood test, but chances are it wasn't going to show up in the urine yet. But so she takes it, and then she calls me back, and she's like, well, do you want me to tell you, or do you not want me to tell you? And I'm like,
and
I'm like, oh God, is it bad, or is it?
She did like a little artistic picture of it or something. I remember it was like, you could see the positive, but there was something else in the background.
Yeah, she did.
Can't remember what
was it a plant? It was
something like that, like a tree growing or something. It was something cool. I forget how she did it.
So she told us that she was, and I was like over the moon. I'm like, God, this whole roller, it just reminds me of all the highs and lows and highs and lows.
And because me too, because I remember when we were waiting, I remember feeling like my whole life was riding on this one little embryo, you know? Because you hadn't done your second cycle yet.
Right.
And if you only got 1 the first time, you might get 0 the next time, you know what I mean? So it felt like,
and I was like,
oh my God, if this is gonna happen, it has to happen now, or else I don't know what to do, you know? And
I was just so like thrilled and excited, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, after that thrill and excitement, I mean, in my mind, worry starts again, because then I'm like, okay, it's taken and she's pregnant, but is it gonna stay?
Can we just get out of the first trimester?
Yeah, I just want to make it to 12 weeks, and then you're like, okay, I just want to make it to 16 weeks, and then you're like,
just want to make it to viability.
I just want to make it to viability, yeah, and you're
In a lot of ways, since this is what we do every day.
Yes.
You're constantly worrying about
preterm or
any bad thing that you know of off the top of your head that can happen at this possible moment, you know? So
and the whole pregnancy was like
cakewalk.
Yeah. It was like the easiest, and of course, because we knew everybody, you know, him being an OBGYN and me an L&D nurse, like they were ultra vigilant.
Yeah.
I mean, like she had testing she probably didn't need, but everything passed with flying colors.
And the testing was like, if it wasn't absolutely perfect, like, you know, it was almost every time.
Well, then they asked us, do you want to know the gender? And we had already said no. We decided no.
We wanted something to be a surprise since all this is so planned.
Right. So we didn't. We held out. We made it, which I am not good about waiting for surprises. Every time we'd go in, I'd be like, are you sure you don't want to find out? You know, I'd ask him, and but we didn't. We did not find out. We held in there, and then comes delivery day, we actually had an induction, and some of you might be wondering, did Kaylee want the birthing tub? Did she force herself to go natural? And no, she was a trooper and said, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do.
She was kind of excited to
do an epidural.
Do an epidural, because really from talking to her, the reason that she had her babies at home the first 2 times was mainly a financial reason. She was trying to save money and didn't have insurance, and so
she was excited to experience it.
Yeah.
So we catered to her. I mean, her epidural went in early. I don't think she felt a little bit, but not much, contraction wise. And then everybody was really good about letting us focus on her in the moment. They tried to cover up the monitoring screen so we weren't analyzing things. And we finally get to complete and to go pushing. And the cool part was that they let my hubby do the delivery.
Ready? And push. All right, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, the head is out. Take a breath.
Oh my God. I'm gonna start crying.
All right. Push, easy push, easy push.
And push.
Push, easy. There we go.
Okay, take over.
All right, there we go. There we go, there we go.
Oh, hold on, wait for it.
And
Jessica, get over there, Jessica.
go be a dad. Get out of here.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
Good job, Kaylee.
Don't chop this baby.
So there was a lot of boo-hooing going on, and we had our beautiful baby boy. You got to cut the cord with your own knife. Yes, this is very archaic, but kind of cool. And we named our little boy.
I don't think I've seen that many people in a delivery room either.
Yeah, there was a lot.
A ridiculous amount. It
was a big deal. There's not. I mean, I've been an L&D nurse for 20 years, and there's a handful of surrogacies that you see. Like it's not.
Rare.
Yeah, it's rare. I mean, it's different and it's really special. And
it was where you work, and
yes,
where I worked, and
everybody wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. It was,
so there was a lot of people.
Your family's pretty big, and so they were.
Yeah, my sisters and your mom and your grandmother and
dad.
Yeah, it was crazy. And Kaylee didn't care. She was like, I don't care. She was very like, whatever you guys want. Like, again, her typical. She literally looks like Snow White. When you see her picture, she looks like like something out of a Disney movie. Like that's how I envision Kaylee is Snow White, like an angel Snow White.
And then Edgar was taking pictures.
Yes, her husband took pictures.
And it's crazy because like they were so good. Like I'm like, I didn't realize that they both were like spectacular photographers because, I mean, he's a great musician and everything, but I didn't know that they did that together, at least, but they were spectacular pictures.
And, I remember one thing is like you're loving and holding this baby that you've waited for and hoped for so long, and then, it finally hits me and I look over at Kaylee and she's kind of like by herself for a second,
It's weird how the attention turns away from the mom.
And I felt horrible, like
normally they're kind of the center of attention with their baby right after a delivery, and it was definitely unsettling, I think, for us because that's what we're used to. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was, but it's odd how it shifts.
But
I
look over and I remember thinking like, here's this woman that just gave, and looked at her crying and I said, thank you, Kaylee. I'm like, thank you so much, you know? And I just remember thinking, this poor thing has just done 9 months of holding our baby for us and carrying it and nurturing it, and now, I mean, just hands it over. Like, and I know it's our baby, but there's a part of you that feels bad. I mean, at least for me, that a little bit like, I was just worried that she was gonna feel a loss, you know?
Yeah, but I think, you know, we tried to think about that before we even embarked down that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the beginning, we always agreed that we thought it would be best to be open with the kids about how all this came to be, and to,
Right.
we wanted Kaylee and her family to be a part of our family for forever, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, it's like,
There was no way they couldn't be.
you do something that significant with someone, you really do form a bond that's just different than
Especially with...
normal. It's almost like going to war with someone, you know, like it's just like that connection you have is just
And it's
different
not
than
like, I mean,
regular friendship.
some people have surrogates that are in other states.
Yeah.
But we were so close-knit, everything was done together.
Yeah.
I mean, appointments, and we were going to each other's...
Kids' birthday parties and stuff, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's this great friendship developed, and we made sure in the beginning to really keep Kaylee a part of it. Like, you know, we were sending her pictures of Koa every day, and...
Yeah, and we, you know, before we went down this road, we talked to her and her family about the idea that we want to do two. Like, from the get-go,
Yes.
we want to do two. And
Would she be willing to do a second one?
She did say that she would, and we wanted to do everything that we could so that she would have good experience and not something sad. You know?
Right. We decided to start right away, pretty much, for the next one. We didn't wait real long, but you have to give, obviously, somebody time
to recover
and to heal, and we didn't have embryos yet. So it was time to start this whole process again. You know, we were newlyweds, then we got pregnant, then we had a baby, and in the midst of all of this, we're trying to get a whole nother egg retrieval going for me. The second time we had a better outcome, luckily, with my egg retrieval.
They pushed you a lot harder that time.
Yeah, they did a different protocol because they knew the first time that it wasn't ultra successful.
She was miserable the second time around.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, it was like I think it was the strongest protocol that they can do to push your body to the limit of, I mean, you're almost on the brink of what do they call it?
You were in stage 1 hyperstimulation, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I looked like I was pregnant. It was really, really bad. Like, I mean, bruises
but
everywhere.
In a lot of ways, you know, that's a judgment call that the REIs make.
But I wanted them to push my body.
And I think
wasn't against that.
They did the right thing, and it was a better result, and I don't think you would ever change it, you know.
So they pulled out, 11, and they fertilized 5 and 5...
Or 6 fertilized and 5
No.
were genetically normal.
6 fertilized, 5 of them made it to day...
Day 5.
Day 5. 5 made it to day 5, and then we get the results. All 5 of those are normal, genetically normal. So we went from having only 1. So hopefully this gives some people some hope that just because one cycle either doesn't work or you don't have the greatest outcome, that a month or not a month or 2, but months later you could have another one that's completely different, and you know, they can try different meds or try different things, but then we had 5. In the midst of all of that, Koa was 6 weeks old. I got pregnant again. The person that's not supposed to get pregnant got pregnant again. We waited in hopes just to see, like, I don't know if things were different, I guess. Yeah. And we went in for a checkup at
7 weeks, something like
7 or 8 weeks, and there was no heart rate. So in order to avoid we knew that I couldn't just deliver at home. That wasn't a possibility. We went ahead and just scheduled a D&C, but the D&C ended up a little more complicated than normal. What happened, honey?
So they couldn't dilate your cervix. They couldn't gain access to your uterus at all. And so, in that situation, you have to get the tissue out. But this is kind of a rare thing. I mean, I've never had a patient where you can't dilate the cervix.
Of course, that happens to me.
So, they come up to me in the waiting room, and Dr. Heckman's like, look, we can't get in, can't do the D&C. I think she needs to have a hysterectomy. So they end up doing a laparoscopic hysterectomy on you, which is another unheard of thing. No one does laparoscopic hysterectomies on people that are pregnant. Like, this is such a...
It's supposed to, honey, for people that don't know what that means, instead of having like 2 tiny incisions on your belly, that's laparoscopic, they do it that way, and then they actually remove it vaginally. You would have a bigger incision. How big?
A normal thing would be like a C-section scar. You did good. I think they did an excellent
I did okay?
job. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, especially for how of a unique... it was such a unique situation, and whenever something's different than how we normally do it, things can go drastically wrong. It's just, that's not how we're used to you're not used to operating on pregnant uteruses. It's just... Everything's
more vascular, and there's a lot more going on. So I'm sure...
I think they did a spectacular job.
So I wake up and they tell me they had to do a hysterectomy on me, and it was a bit of a relief to know that wasn't gonna happen to us again,
Hey, you knew that you weren't gonna have to go on that emotional roller coaster again.
Right. So we already knew as soon as we could, we were going to try. As soon as Kaylee's body was ready, they suggested waiting at least 6 months before we started again, which we did. So the whole process has kind of started over again. You have to have a whole new contract. She had to go through a whole new body preparation medication to get her lining and everything ready, and to make sure that she, they have to suppress your body so you can't get pregnant initially. Mm-hmm. Then they take you up to where you're ultra ready they call it a billowy pad, if you will. So then the question was, well, we had 5 this time. How many do we want to put in? Should we put in 2 and go for twins? And they steered us against that, just because of the risk of triplets.
Do now.
Yeah.
So I think that's the second time around there wasn't any pressure. It's like, okay, if this one doesn't work, then we have 4 more. You know what I mean?
Right. It wasn't like you're riding on one wing in a prayer, So we opted to just put 1 in. We did not get the option of gender selection. We really wanted a girl, obviously, because we had just had a boy, but our fertility group did not. They don't give you that information. You're not allowed to choose.
Some do, but some don't. Yeah,
right, and ours did not. So basically, the way they pick is they pick the embryo that has the best grading. They grade them on a system. The one that looks like it's the most
capable. Yeah,
capable of implanting. So we went and had 1 transferred, and of course it took right away again. And did we find out with the pregnancy test again? Probably a urine test. I'm sure we did.
Yeah, I think she just sent us a picture that time. By that point, we were a little bit more laid back.
We were a lot more relaxed. I will say
we were busy with a 6-month-old.
Yeah, and that pregnancy flew by for me.
It did. It went a lot faster.
Her first one was I felt like the days were not moving. I was just because you're worried so badly that something's gonna go wrong or something's gonna happen, or
It did seem more of like a laid back, enjoyable, because it wasn't such an immense amount of pressure. Like it almost felt like, oh, like this is how like normal people must feel.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly. And you know, I tried to look at the positives about like not being able to carry these 2 babies for him. Like I was like, well, I can drink wine at night, you know, like I'm not gonna gain a bunch of weight. But you know, I was trying to look at like the positive aspects of it. But we did some traveling. We did some stuff that we really wouldn't have been able to do, like if I was big and pregnant, you know. Yeah. So we did find out with this one, with the second one.
You convinced me.
I couldn't stand it. I wanted to know so bad.
So she told me that she would allow me to 100% choose the name as long as she could find out whether it was a boy or a girl. And that was too good to resist, I think.
So we're in the sono room, and he's like, all right, fine, we can find out. Like, and you announced it before anybody, even before the sono tech, because he could see what it was, and you were like, well, I'm gonna be broke. And I was I kind of figured it was a girl when he said that, and then, so I'm like, what? How did we get so lucky? We had a boy the first time, which is what you wanted. Then the second time we really wanted a girl, even though they couldn't pick a girl.
Yeah.
And then we ended up with a girl, and then both the surrogacies were uncomplicated and amazing and wonderful pregnancies, and she pushed them out like no problem. And then so then we had Denali.
Nice and easy.
It's so cute.
I know, she's like a toy, you know?
She feels like 6 pounds probably. Let me fix your arm, baby. Come here. You're cold, aren't you? Yes, you are.
Yeah, here's a lot there.
Oh, I haven't looked at it.
Hi, baby. Let's get your goobers out. Yes. Yes. Hi, look. I can't see you. Say hi, Kim. She's so cute. Look at her little face. She's so little. Denali, Elisa sites, and Koa Maverick sites. And Denali, he fully delivered Denali, which was kind of cool. Denali was a little bit smaller than Koa was, so it was a lot less complicated. And I think because it was our second time doing this whole thing, the hoopla had died down a little bit, so it was a little more of a controlled environment. We delivered at a smaller hospital, and he was able to do the delivery. It was super cool, and cut the cord with his
Knife again.
The same knife, again, and now here we are.
Why don't we put a picture of the knife over here?
We can. Here it is. Look at it. It still has blood on it. Isn't that amazing? We're gonna use it to cut Koa's birthday cake this year. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding about that. To sum up this video, we've got 4 more embryos sitting in the freezer. Leave us a comment. What would you like us to do with our embryos? No, I'm just kidding.
Christ.
But what do we do with our embryos? We obviously have cute kids. So for now, they'll be sitting frozen until we make a decision what to do with these other cute little potential beings. So that's our story. We love you, Kaylee.
Yes.
And Edgar and Stella and Felix. You are our angels sent down from heaven. I think that my mom played some role in that. I know she had to, as a coordinating angel up there. And I hope you guys liked us sharing our story. I kind of like this guy, and I think that he'll keep me around. All right, till next time, don't forget to subscribe. Where's the button, honey? There it is.